welcome Sadhvi back. It's always nice to see her. Shouldn't be so rare. Don't be so rare. As they say in the Western movies, don't be a stranger, partner. The town is big enough for both of us. All right. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janamallabha Girivardhate Gopi Janamallabha Girivardhate Yasunanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yasunanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Panachate Yamuna Ravanachate Jayaradhu Madhava Kunja Bihagate Jaya Radhu Madhava Kunja Bihagate Gopi Jana Madhava Girivardhate Gopi Janamallabha Girivardhate Yasunanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yasunanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachade Yamuna Tira Vanachade Jayaradhu Madhava Kunja Bihagate Jayaradha Madhava Kunja Bihagate Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravatikacharya also Tera Satashi Shimad. His Divine Grace Abhaya Charanada Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shiva Siddhi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Sayam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Maturanam Ki Jai Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Yamunamai Ki Jai Shrimati Lasi Devi Ki Jai Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastai Budle Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachani Nivisesha Sinyavadi Paschachate Chatarni. So Megana Timadanda Shah Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshuru Mriditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. So today is a very special day in the Vaishnava or on the Vaishnava calendar. It's the appearance day of three different personalities, Madhavendra Puri, Srinivasa Acharya, and Radha Raman. What? Yeah, very auspicious day. So first we're going to tell the story about Radha Raman, then we'll talk about the two personalities who appeared today in addition to Radha Raman. So, of course, we know that Radha Raman were worshipped by Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So what happened is that Gopal Bhatta Goswami, as I usually tell the story, was a very humble devotee. So not like nowadays that people just get Shilas and then they inform their spiritual master later on, or they go on the internet like eBay and bid for a Shila. You see it on eBay right now. It's taken very seriously. Shila worship is taken very seriously. One has to be second initiated. One has to have the permission of his spiritual master. Otherwise, one should not simply install these. There's this whole tendency nowadays, now that Prabhupada is not on the planet, and now that basically it's free for all the people just install deities in their home without asking for permission, without understanding the standard. And even they open up preaching centers and they install deities in the preaching centers without going through the authorized ISKCON procedure. The authorized ISKCON procedure is that we have a deity worship ministry. And before deities are installed or worshiped, then they have to be approved. The whole process has to be approved by the deity worship ministry, headed up by my dear friend Nrsimha Kavacha Prabhu. So, and then devotees try to get around the law, skirt around the law, so to speak, by putting the deities on the altar and saying they're not installed, and just worshiping them like that. Well, the point is, the deity installation is there because of the chanting of the holy name and the worship of the deities. So it's not that you have to do a formal sacrifice or ceremony, like Prabhupada said in Vrindavan, that the deities were installed there because of the Harinam Kirtan, not because of all the yagyas and havans and kunds and everything like that they do. Of course, we do that so that people will respect the deity installation, but the deity installation is there because the deity is being worshipped under the authority of a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so therefore the deity comes. So we're dealing with this in the North American GBC right now, and also in the international GBC, of devotees like putting deities on the altar without proper arrangements for the worship of the deity, just saying that they're uninstalled. And one thing I want to mention about that, yes, so actually there's no need to do that. You can actually worship Krishna in the picture form. When I joined the Krishna consciousness movement, I joined in a temple that didn't have any deities. It was simply a picture of the Panchatattva, and I was happy. I wasn't missing anything because there weren't any deities standing there. Of course, we are in favor of having deities. We do worship Radha Golokananda, but it's a very difficult process to be worshiping the deities. It requires so many people, just like you see here, we have so many people. In the beginning days of worshiping Radha Golokananda, I had to do, I think, most of the deity worship. I was cooking the morning offering. I was giving the class, except when Mother Urmila was giving class. I was giving class in the morning, cooking the morning offering, sometimes dressing the deities in the morning, sometimes all three of those things in the morning, just to make sure the deity standard was upheld. So, getting back to the story, Gopal Bhatta Goswami. The Gopal Bhatta Goswami decided he was going to get some Shalagram Shilas to worship. And so he went to the Gandaki River, which is in Nepal, and got the Shalagram Shilas, brought them back to Vrindavan, and then he was thinking, I'm not really qualified. Imagine, here is someone who is extremely qualified. I mean, who's more qualified than Gopal Bhatta Goswami? I mean, practically speaking, in the temple that he established, which was later a Radharaman temple, Prabhupada said this is the highest standard of deity worship, a standard that ISKCON devotees can examine and learn from if they really wanted to learn like the highest standards of deity worship. And Gopal Bhatta Goswami was born in the South Indian family in Srirangam, which is, practically speaking, the strictest insofar as performing the Vaidhi functions of deity worship. It's interesting. I was listening to a class of Prabhupada this morning where he was mentioning that unless one is on the Raganuga platform, one can't worship Radha and Krishna. Prabhupada was saying that. He said on the Vaidhi platform, we worship, well, of course, we worship the deities of Radha and Krishna in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan, the mood of opulence, the Vaidhi platform, the rules and regulations platform. But those who are spontaneous, like Sanatana Goswami, he was able to worship Madan Mohan, who was previously known as Madan Gopal, just by giving him some dried bread balls. And when the deity complained about the whole procedure of just eating dried bread balls, Sanatana Goswami said, you'll have to cool it, basically, because I have all this service for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he never gave me the service of worshiping the deity, of maybe establishing temples, but not of worshiping the deities directly, so I have to write and excavate the holy places. So if you want some salt on your dried bread balls, if you want some butter, you have to arrange for it yourself, and the deity arranged for it himself. So, but that's the spontaneous platform. Or like that story of Raghunandana. I think you all know the story of Raghunandana. Raghunandana was told by his father to make sure the deity was eating properly while was being offered properly. While Mukunda, his father, was away, and Raghunandana didn't know any mantras, but he was on the spontaneous platform, and he was able to offer to the deities just by saying, eat, eat, eat. He didn't know any mantras. Eat, 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 and he cried, and the deity got off the altar, or went down to the lower steps of the altar, and ate. So this is the requirement for those who want to worship on the Raganuga platform, and a very intimate platform. And to be on that platform, you have to be relatively free from anarthas, at least on the Nishta platform of devotional service. Nishta means steady, 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 24/7, 365, and 366 on leap year. You don't get one day every 4 years off. So that's Nishta. So then, anyway, so getting back to the point is Gopal Bhatta Goswami thought of himself very unqualified. And so he thought, let me take these Shilas back. And so he went all the way back to the Gandaki River. And that's not a short trip. In those days, it would probably take months to go back there. Just walking. It's not that there were airplanes and roads and helicopters and everything like that, like nowadays. When I think of going to these places, I think of renting a helicopter rather than walking up to Gangotri or Gomukh like that. So he went up there and he put the Shilas back into the Gandaki River. And every time he put the Shilas back into the Gandaki River, the Shilas kept jumping back into his hand. So he understood. There's a bug here somewhere. He understood that the Shilas wanted to be worshipped. So then he went back to Vrindavan and he was worshiping the Shilas. But then he was observing his Goswami godbrothers. And the Goswami godbrothers, they actually had, the three-dimensional, form deities, and they were dressing them or arranging them for them to be dressed. And he was thinking, I'd really like to have deities, to dress the deities. And so then one night, or one day, he was actually given clothes for one of his Shilas, what's called a Damodar Shila. Each and every Shila had a name to him. And so he was thinking, now, how am I going to dress the Shila with these clothes? So he went to take rest, and the next morning he got up, and the deity of Radharaman manifested himself from the Damodar Shila, the beautiful deity of Radharaman. And there wasn't a Radharani manifest, so we see the deity worship nowadays is worshipped with a pile of clothes next to him, and that signifies Radharani. And the deity worship, as I mentioned before, is on the highest standard. Prabhupada said we could go there and learn the highest standard of deity worship. So that's the appearance of Radharaman. And Radharaman is one of the few deities, original deities, that is still there in Vrindavan. Somehow or other, Radharaman was protected from the Mughals when they invaded Vrindavan, and many of the other deities were brought to Jaipur, Udaipur, or Nathdwar. It's either one bug or many bugs here. So, I think it's just one. I think that does it. Okay, so that is the story of Radharaman. So it's also the appearance day of Sripad Madhavendra Puri and Srinivasacharya, both of whom we're going to speak about. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that Madhavendra Puri was the source of the symptoms of ecstatic devotional love and conjugal ras in our sampradaya. And he said, before that, it's not that no one had that ecstatic devotional love, but they didn't really manifest it to the same extent as Madhavendra Puri did. So Madhavendra, there's some interesting stories about Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri was on pilgrimage all over India. He had taken a vow not to ask anyone for food or prasadam. Those of us who are on a lower platform of devotional service, we actually go and we do either madhukari or we ask people to cook. We supply our diet when we go someplace. That whenever I go to a place, they actually email me or send me a text beforehand, what do you eat? And then I send them to my YouTube channel that has all my recipes of me cooking. So this is, I just want to make sure they get it right. But Madhavendra Puri was extremely renounced. And if Krishna supplied something, he would eat. And if Krishna didn't supply something, he wouldn't eat. So he was traveling around India, and when he was in Western India, he met Lord Nityananda on pilgrimage. And there's a beautiful story about this in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. When they met each other, they embraced, and they remained motionless for hours. And he spent quite a bit of time with Lord Nityananda. This whole story of Madhavendra Puri that we're going to tell in it right now was actually spoken by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard the story of Madhavendra Puri from his spiritual master, Ishwara Puri. So, first part of the story we're going to talk about is the disappearance of Madhavendra Puri. And because this is important insofar as for us to understand the importance of serving spiritual master in an unmotivated, humble fashion. So, famous story. Once upon a time, Madhavendra Puri was getting ready to leave this planet. And when he was getting ready to leave this planet, he was manifesting symptoms of ecstasy, of separation from Krishna. This is called vipralamba. So as he was manifesting these symptoms, he was crying out, "Oh my Lord, I have not reached Mathura." And so he had one disciple named Ramchandra Puri, and Ramchandra Puri thought he knew better than his guru. As we see, it's a very common phenomena. And he started to advise his spiritual master, why don't you just meditate on Brahman? And even quoted the verse from Bhagavad Gita, that prasanatma nashochiti nakangshati samak sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakti labate param. That one should be absorbed in Brahman, and this way you're not going to hanker or lament as you're doing, Guru Maharaj. And so Guru Maharaj, Madhavendra Puri, got so upset with this disciple that he rejected him at this point. He said, "I have not reached Mathura, and now this rascal has come to harass me. Get out of here. I don't want to see you anymore." So the final words he heard from his guru before his guru left this planet was that, "I don't want to see you anymore. You're a rascal." Remember that instruction. Can you imagine getting that instruction right before your guru leaves the planet and remembering that for the rest of your life? But Ramchandra Puri didn't consider it so important, and he became a critic of the Vaishnavas. And that story is told in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, at the same time, we had Ishwara Puri, who was serving his spiritual master. And now, serving his spiritual master, not only reflecting his spiritual master's moods and encouraging his spiritual master in the mood of vipralamba, but also serving his spiritual master in a very menial way, cleaning up, just like if someone gets very old and sick and they're getting ready to leave the planet. I mean, there's many things like bodily fluids and things like that that have to be taken care of, and the body has to be cleaned, like the devotees cleaned Prabhupada before Prabhupada left this world. They had so much devotion for Prabhupada that there's even some statement that Prabhupada said, was either, I think it was to Bhakti Maharaj, about, the bodily fluids is simply horrible. And I don't remember the exact words. And Bhakti Maharaj responded, "No, Prabhupada. Because when there's love, then something that would ordinarily be considered repulsive would be considered nectarian, just like it's described about a mother taking care of a child or changing the diapers of a child. I mean, because I don't have any love, if you ask me to do it, it would be extremely repulsive. I don't know if you could pay me. Well, you could pay me enough money. I do have a price. But it would be repulsive even if I was doing it, or I would be repulsed. So, Ishwara Puri was taking care of his guru with great devotion, not thinking, "Oh, I got to do this for the Guru Maharaj." So the whole point is devotion, not just the activity itself, but the devotion. I was thinking about that as I was offering some bhoga to my deities this morning and saying the mantras and thinking, where's my devotion? I have to be thinking, "Krishna, please come and take this bhoga, come and enjoy." Instead, we're generally thinking, "Krishna, I'm offering to you so later on I can eat this, whatever it is. I can eat the boiled vegetables." So, anyway, he was serving the spiritual master with devotion. As a result of that, he got empowered and he was able to become the spiritual master of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, let's continue with the story. So, once upon a time, and this story, as I mentioned before, is told by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reached Ramuna. Ramuna is the place where Shirachora Gopinath is. And right before Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told the story, a crown from the deities fell on Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's head. It probably was a flower crown, some sort of flower crown that fell on his head. So he said that Madhavendra Puri reached Vrindavan, the Govardhan area. He circumambulated the whole Govardhan area, took a bath in Radhakund, and he was sitting there chanting his japa, not asking anyone for food, and a boy came and offered him some milk. Some of the stories say there was kheer in a container. But anyway, it was a milk product. And Madhavendra Puri questioned him, why have you come here? And the boy said, no one fasts in my village. And so Madhavendra Puri took the prasad. The boy left, and Madhavendra Puri at that point had a dream. And in that dream, that same boy appeared to him, took him by his hand, and took him into the bushes and said that actually my name is Gopal. And I was installed by Braja. Now, Braja means Brajanaba, Krishna's great-grandson. Krishna's great-grandson came to Vrindavan and Govardhan, of course, after Krishna had left this world, and most of Krishna's associates had left this world. He came with some of Krishna's remaining associates, and he established many of the original deities. And the way you can understand or see that the deity was one of the deities installed by Brajanaba, the deity is made of this black stone called Vajra. You seen that? Like we have the Nrsimha deity. Someone sent me a picture of the Nrsimha deity this morning that's worshipped at the tail of Govardhan. And then also in the city of Anior, or town of Anior, there's this big, big Dauji deity that's made from this stone. You seen that deity? No? Yes? No? Yes? Okay. It's hard to see, it's subtle. So, anyway, so this deity of Gopal was actually installed by Brajanaba. And what happened is Brajanaba, this deity, was eventually hidden in the bushes because the Mughals came, and the Mughals used to come and destroy temples and break the deities and even take the deities and put them in the road so the people would step on them. And they would desecrate these samadhis of the great personalities. They would disinter them. That means dig them out of the ground. And then they would feed them to the dogs. So in many cases, the Vaishnavas would disinter the bodies themselves and cremate the bodies, like we have the Teen Goswami Samadhi at Radhakund for that purpose. So, so the deity, Gopal, he said, I'm hidden in the bushes. And so Madhavendra Puri went to the village and he gathered people to rescue the deity. And so they came with all these choppers, like at scythes, and they found the deity in the bushes, and they took all of them to carry him to the top of Govardhan Hill. And so at the top of Govardhan Hill, they had a deity installation, and they had water from from Govindakund. There were 900 pots, and a big Abhishek festival, which also consisted of Panchagavya, the 5 products of the cow, Pancha Amrita, and prasadam or bhoga was offered to the deities, and Madhavendra Puri initiated pujaris to take care of the deities. So this ceremony went on again and again and again as many different villagers came to perform the ceremony, practically speaking, for 2 years. The deity installation took place. So, after 2 years, Madhavendra Puri had another dream, and Gopal appeared to him in a dream, and he said, I'm still hot. He's buried in the bushes for a long time. I need some sandalwood, so get me some sandalwood. So in order to get sandalwood, he had to go all the way to Puri to get it. So he took it upon himself, and remember, here is someone who is not asking for food from anybody or asking for prasadam from anyone. And he just took it upon himself to go get the sandalwood. So he proceeded first towards Bengal on the way to Jagannath Puri. And in Bengal, he initiated Advaitacharya. So it's described, at least in this biography, that Advaitacharya was initiated by Madhavendra Puri. And then he went to Ramuna on the way to Jagannath Puri, because Ramuna is in between Bengal and, in between Mayapur and Jagannath Puri. It's a very beautiful place, very quiet place, Ramuna, where the Shirachora Gopinath is. And so when he came, he saw the deity of Shirachora Gopinath. And the Shirachora Gopinath deity was actually installed and carved by Lord Ramchandra. The story goes that Lord Ramchandra was asked by Sita Devi when they were in Ramuna, what do you look like in Dwapara Yuga? And Lord Ram took out his arrow, and with the tip of the arrow, he carved on the stone this relief deity, beautiful deity of Gopinath. And Gopinath is offered this very nice offering called Amrita Keli. Amrita Keli is the very sweet, condensed milk. I mean, it's unbelievable. Even I broke my fast to take this when I was there. And they actually have the cows in Ramuna that are connected. They're not in the deity room, but the structure in which the deity room is in has a wall in it, and behind the wall, the deities are on one side, and behind the wall, the deities, there's the cows that supply the milk. And so the cows are living there right with the deity. Really amazing. You remember that, Sadhvi? Sadhvi went with us one time. Not just me and Sadhvi, of course. There were 35 of us, so it was chaste. So when Madhavendra Puri heard about these offering that was being made, he thought, I should taste it. Actually, when I went there, I also thought I should taste it, but not for devotion. I thought I should taste it because I wanted to taste something nice. And when it's in little tiny containers. They have like about this big little clay containers. You remember that? It's nice. And we had devotees just like swigging one after the other. And we had one of our devotees wanted to save some, so he poured it out on a leaf plate and dried it in the sun so he could save it, but it actually spoiled. It wasn't so good like that. He's a very fanatic devotee, but that's out of devotion. And they were so hospitable at that temple that they cooked full plates of prasadam for us too. And we had very, very wonderful temple. They have different. They have like a museum inside the temple with figurines depicting Krishna's pastimes. If anyone gets a chance to go, they need to go to visit the temple in Ramuna. So anyway, so Madhavendra Puri thought, I would like to taste it. Why do I want to taste it? Because I want to offer it to my Gopal. If I can taste it, I can understand what they're doing. Because it sounds like they wouldn't give him the recipe. Isn't it? Yeah, obviously, you can understand just reading between the lines. They wouldn't give him the recipe. So, but he became embarrassed, thinking, I want to taste before it's offering, because he was thinking about this when the bell was ringing in the offering. Nowadays, and of course, we have devotees saying, they come into the kitchen and they say, is it prasadam yet? Is it prasadam yet? So that's not the right consciousness. Actually, it's described even if an animal or bug or anything looks at the food before it's offered, it's unofferable. You have that story about Raghava Pandit, who was so strict in his offerings that even if his servant who was offering a coconut touched the top of the doorway in the entrance to the deity room, he threw the coconut away because he was afraid that the dust from people's feet, actually because of the air, would, some of it would get on the top of the doorway, and if he touched the coconut and touched the top of the doorway, the coconut was unofferable. So, of course, we can't imitate that, but we should understand the mood of wanting to offer the best thing, the purest thing to the Lord. So he became embarrassed, thinking he wanted to eat the offering before it was offered. So he went away, went into the marketplace, which wasn't that far away. If you visit Ramuna, the marketplace is right outside of the temple compound. And it's not a big marketplace. It's not that you have Walmart there or anything like that, big stores. It's a little tiny marketplace. So he dozed. That means, I don't want to say he slept, he rested a little bit. And he felt very embarrassed. He was chanting the holy name. In the meantime, while he was resting, the Pujari had a dream, and Gopal came, and Shirachara Gopinath came to him in the dream and said, wake up, I've hidden some sweet rice for Madhavendra Puri, who happens to be in the marketplace. The sweet rice is hidden under my skirt, so come into my altar in the middle of the night. And so the Pujari obviously bathed, went into the altar, found the sweet rice, and went to the marketplace and said, is anyone here named Madhavendra Puri? You're the most fortunate person. And so Madhavendra Puri got the sweet rice, and he was in ecstasy, and it probably describes that the Pujari must have been basically at the same level as Madhavendra Puri to actually have had that particular interaction with the deity. So Madhavendra Puri ate, and he washed the pot, and for the rest of his mortal sojourn, he ate pieces of the pot each day. He kept, it's a little tiny pot, so he must have had little fragments that he would eat every day. So after he learned how to make that offering by eating the prasadam of Gopinath, he left Ramuna and went to Puri. He collected the sandalwood, and he got 2 servants with him and all sorts of permission papers and everything like that to take the sandalwood back to Vrindavan for Gopal. So on the way back to Vrindavan, he had stopped in Ramuna also. And in Ramuna, he had a dream, and Gopal said to him, I've already accepted it. You don't have to take the trouble of going all the way to Vrindavan. Offer this sandalwood to Gopinath, because I and Gopinath are non-different. So it's described that Gopal wanted to save Madhavendra Puri trouble because of all the Muslims and dacoits that were on the way. And so finally, I just wanted to read this one verse that Madhavendra Puri spoke, and this verse was spoken by Srimati Radharani. So it's very important to understand this verse, to understand the mood of this great devotee Madhavendra Puri. And first I'll read the Sanskrit from this verse. Aidena daradra nata he mathura nata kadavalokyase hadaya thwadaloka katara daita brahmyati kya karomyaham. O my Lord, O most merciful Master, O Master of Mathura, when shall I see you? Because of my not seeing you, my agitated heart has become unsteady. O most beloved one, what shall I do now? So this is what Madhavendra Puri was reciting as he left this material world and went back to enter the Nitya Lila of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's pastimes. So it is also the appearance day of Srinivasacharya. So I'm going to try to tell this story very quickly since we don't have a lot of time. We just have 6 minutes. So Srinivasacharya, his father's name was Chaitanya Das. Originally he was named Gangadhara Bhattacharya. His mother's name was Lakshmi. And when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas from Kesava Bharati, Chaitanya Das, who previously was Gangadhara Bhattacharya, he just kept chanting Chaitanya, 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 because that was Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's name given at the time of sannyas, and therefore he got the name Chaitanya Das. Chaitanya Das and his wife went to Jagannath Puri later on to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya said, Krishna will satisfy your desire. You're going to have a son, and here his son's name is going to be Srinivas, and Srinivas will be distributing the Shastras. So later on, after they arrived back in Bengal, then Chaitanya Das's wife gave birth to this little boy. And this little boy had all auspicious symptoms. As he grew up, he was educated in the Bhakti Shastras. And his father, at a very early age, disappeared from this world. So Srinivas traveled to Bengal and associated with many of the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who were still around, like Narahari Saraka. And he went home, and then he decided to go to Jagannath Puri to study the Srimad Bhagavatam with Gadadhar Das Goswami. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had already disappeared, but Gadadhar Das Goswami was still there, and he wanted to take darshan of other great devotees. So when he went there to study the Srimad Bhagavatam with Gadadhar, the Srimad Bhagavatam was illegible because that particular copy of the Srimad Bhagavatam had been utilized by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Gadadhar Pandit Goswami, and they had been crying when they were reading this particular book. So he decided to go back and get another copy of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So by the time he got back to Jagannath Puri, Gadadhar had disappeared, and Swarup Damodar Goswami had disappeared, and actually practically all the associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disappeared. Then he went back to Bengal. So the story of Srinivas is very interesting, in that every time he goes to a place, he discovers that the associates he went to meet had disappeared just before he got there. So then he went to Bengal, and he got back to Bengal here that Lord Nityananda and Advaitacharya had disappeared. And he felt morose, practically suicidal, and they appeared to him in a dream and pacified him. Then he went to Navadvip and got Vishnu Priya's blessings, and went to Shantipura and got Sita Thakurani's blessings, and blessings from Janava Mata and from Lord Nityananda's son. And then he went to visit this devotee, Abhiram Thakur, and Abhiram Thakur gave his blessings in a very unusual way because he had this whip. He would whip people with his Jayamangal, and every time he whipped you, you would get pure devotional service. Wouldn't sound so good in the press today, you know. The devotees whip each other. So he was whipped, I think, 2 or 3 times by Abhiram Thakur. And what happened is Abhiram's wife said, "Don't whip him anymore. Become too ecstatic. He won't be able to do anything." So then he went to Vrindavan. Then he went on the way to Vrindavan, stopped in Gaya, had association with Chandrasekhara and Tapan Mishra. He went to Mathura, took bath at Vishram Ghat, and there he was told that Raghunath Bhatta Goswami had passed away, and Rupa Goswami had passed away. And then he thought, this Vrindavan is very cruel. I don't want to enter Vrindavan. He felt practically like he wanted to leave his body. But then Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami appeared to him in a dream and assured him that everything would be all right and that he should proceed to Vrindavan. And there in Vrindavan he met Jiva Goswami and Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who became his guru. And he had association with Raghunath Das Goswami at Radhakund, Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, and Raghava Pandit. So he was taught by Jiva Goswami with Narottama Das Thakur and Shyamanand at the same time. And he was given the title Acharya. He was sent by Srila Jiva Goswami to Bengal to distribute the Vaishnava literatures. And on the way to, after he entered Bengal, he entered this one place called Vanavishnapura, where the king was a dacoit, and the king had his astrologers who understood that what was in this case where they kept the books was a great jewel. So he had the books stolen, although he thought they were jewels rather than books. He opened up the case, and he saw the writings of Rupa Goswami, and he became very embarrassed, closed the case, and later on Srimad Bhagavatam class was given by Srinivasacharya, and the king recognized him from his dream, and he gave him the books, and Srinivasacharya initiated the king and queen and made sure that everyone in the kingdom had to be a devotee. They had to wake up for Mangalarti, not like New Goloka. So later on, he got the blessings from Gadadhar Das, not Gadadhar Pandit Goswami, to get married. He got married and had 3 sons and 3 daughters. One of his daughters, Krishna Priya, was a guru. Huh, interesting. And he has a very famous disciple named Ramchandra Kaviraj, and he met Ramchandra Kaviraj on the day that Ramchandra Kaviraj got married. So I guess it wasn't a long honeymoon. And then after he preached, he again went to Vrindavan, studied again with Jiva Goswami, and left this world in Vrindavan. So that's Srinivasacharya. That's all we have time for today. So today we remember these 2 great personalities, try to follow in their footsteps and preach Krishna consciousness and serve our spiritual master. Okay, all glories to His divine grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Is that whip still around? It might be.
Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Akom Vikamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Driya Priti Manti Vasyan Vipan Vikayanti Jiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Motale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Guruvani Pacha Nilivasesha Sunyavati Masya Jagade Satanane. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Sivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Sivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Sivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Jaya Radha, Golokananda, Golokananda Radhe. Jaya Radha, Golokananda, Golokananda Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Radhe, Jaya Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Sri Radhe, Jai Om Vishnupada.
Chaitodarpanamarjanam Bhavamahadavaki Nirvapa Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam Purnamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Atrapitani Amita Smaranena Kala. Gorgeous. Etanshita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Dordaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Suhishuna Amani Namanadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavita